Welcome back to Moto Guzzi. Just where we left off with the electrics, I was going to get some of this yellow wire because we're going to be doing some in-frame wiring extension, repositioning of the rectifier and regulator. These are the boys we're going to be feeding through the frame, so there's 6 wires in total, and we're going to chop here and here and then reconnect these Guzzi connectors. So I've measured this, which obviously has a sheath on it as well, protection, and it's 11.5mm, which is a pretty big old hole to be drilling. But of course we won't be needing any protection for these because they'll be protected by the tubular frame. So I reckon 9 or 10mm ought to do it, and we just happen to have these, which are 3/8. As usual, we'll be starting off with a pilot hole. I think that's about 6mm, and then working up to our 9, 10mm, 3/8, whatever the hell it is. Not easy drilling tubes. Now the big guns. Might need to be bigger, especially as we might want to put a grommet in there. Anyway, let's do the other end. While I do that, you've got time to subscribe down here, give the video the thumbs up and all that malarkey. And like I said, I think it's going to need to be slightly bigger than that, so we're going to use one of these step drill boys just to get it perfect size. These are very useful, but one word of warning. If you're using a chuck like this where you use your hand to tighten it, make damn sure your hand is not up here, because that will take a big chunk out of your finger. No need to ask how I know. Suffice to say, you'll only do it once, and you shouldn't need to now. You have been warned. So I think that's going to be big enough. Next up is measuring how much wire we need. We have measured it, and it's exactly 24 inches hole to hole. That's 2 feet or 60 centimetres for the more European among you. So we're going to cut 3 foot of each colour, apart from yellow, for which we need 3 lots. So we're going to cut 10 foot of that, and we're going to keep it in one piece for the time being, and there's a very good reason for that. We have spaghetti, homemade nonetheless. So why have I cut this one at 10 foot? Well, here's why. You can probably imagine it's quite the palaver trying to get a wire all the way up that tube and to come out the other hole. Having done this before on the 1978 CB750 project, do watch that if you haven't already, there's a kind of a cool technique. First off, you could use a straightened out wire coat hanger with one end of this kind of just poking a little bit further ahead and pull it out that way. But secondly, having got your 2 foot, 3 foot of yellow through it, you can then attach all the others to the yellow wire and pull that through. That's pulling the rest of them through in one foul swoop. Clever, huh? I have scoured all 3 closets of my wife's hangers. Bingo, found one. We're fishing. I think we're ready to thread the spaghetti. All right, we're in. See if we can see at the other end. Nothing yet. Further than I thought. Hey, there we are. And with the aid of some very long-nosed pliers, we fished it out. Now we just need to snip that off, withdraw our coat hanger, and with a little gentle pulling from the other end and pushing from this end, we have successfully got all the wires through the frame. Result. The other thing to consider when you're cutting and shutting such a bulk of wiring is not to end up with a big lump of joints. Even though we're going to be using these fairly slimline connectors to do that, they can still as much as double up the thickness of it all if it's all in one big lump. So we're going to stagger the cuts off the original and then stagger the joins. Our new rectifier has arrived. Still old style, but substantially cleaner and newer. Very weird thing, isn't it? Okay, got some good mounting points there. We've got all the right connections. 2 at the back there, all those in the middle. Lovely. That's how I think we're going to have to mount them, with the rectifier at the bottom and the regulator up the top there. So the hole that's I drew on here that's parallel to the hole in the frame is at a thin point in the box, and we need like an inch hole to get all the connectors through. So it's going to have to be at the back there, probably in that top corner. We shall marking up those holes that we need to drill with our chopstick and our paint. And over here, I think what I want to do is actually bring the wiring right down the back here so that it's still in the frame and then just pops out into that side panel. So we're going to need longer wiring, and actually, despite my generosity, that's a little bit short, isn't it? There, even with the other bits attached to it. So I'm going to cut some 5 foot, just to be sure, and feed it all through again. Theory Bear's had a look, and he agrees with me. If only we got it right the first time, eh? Chaos is just going to double check the situation. Right, let's do some drilling. One big arsehole coming up. Should probably have done all this before we painted it, shouldn't we? Yes. Perfect size for the regulator plug. That fat boy there. And I guess we can slip that in sideways, right? Not ideal, but yeah, I think that'll do. We don't really want to go any bigger, so I just need to tidy that up now. The ideal size for the mounting of the rectifier is an M5, long enough to come through the top there and do that. Got plenty of M6 that size, no M5 long enough. That's tedious. Got some M4s though. Why is it, with all the nuts and bolts I've got, I've never got the ideal size for the job? Well, I'm not happy with a 4mm, so I'm gonna order some long 5mm bolts. And while we're doing that, just added a insulation strip there where it's gonna sit. I think it's actually door insulation stuff. Anyway, it's kind of foam rubbery, because I'm not sure, but this is the side that's going to sit there, and I don't think I want that earthing out. I don't know if it's important or not, but it's probably worth protecting it. I may well put some more in. Meanwhile, more fishing with coat hangers and pliers and the like. And we have it out the rear hole now. Let's just pull that through. Yay! Plenty out the back, plenty out the front. M5 bolts, nuts, let's do it. Bingo. And the regulator, some super short M6s for that. So that's all done. Staggering. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I am staggering the cuts on these wires coming out of our stator and gonna join it up to those, which are now all red. That's really helpful. Which then go into our frame and down there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry on doing that with all of these, and we'll hopefully end up with not a big bulge. And there's our 3 connectors. As you can see, they are going to overlap, and it is going to get fatter because we haven't got much room to stagger it right between there and there. So we've pulled those all through on the back, so that we got something relatively neat and tidy up front. Apart from the green, we can't remember where the green went. Anyway, we'll come to that. And of course we've got plenty, right? Because we didn't want to do it short this time around. Especially as we've also got all this stuff where we cut it from the front. Meanwhile, we had to get these bad boys through to the rectifier. So we drilled another hole here, and we'll connect those up, and then we pulled them through the frame and they come out here. We drilled another hole because these are quite thick wires, as you can probably tell, so I've stuck to the same kind of gauge, and they end up, as I said, on the rectifier on those boys there down that end. Yeah, it's all coming together. So with these 2 bad boys, I think we need to know which is which. One's a bigger connector than the other. So what I'm going to do is cut one at a time, join it to my new wiring, and then tug it the other end to find out what it is. Put the appropriate connector on there. This is not the situation with the yellow wiring. Doesn't matter which one goes where, apparently. That's what I've heard. Just doing some connection testers for those wires for the rectifier, because the next size up is yellow, and because of their location, they're going to be under the fuel tank. Don't really want to be groveling around in there to make sure they haven't come undone. So that one I've got on there at the moment I'm not happy with. That's the same thing there, but a different manufacturer, and actually I prefer that one. But first off, I'm trying my favourite melty jobby. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Well, I've given it a little tug and I'm relatively happy with it. What I'm thinking I might do is actually put one of these boys over the top when I actually do it on the bike, just to kind of double seal it. I just slipped the side panel on to see how it looked with our painted frame. Rather nice. But more importantly, to see how long we need these wires to be. I think ideally we want the connections in the box somewhere, so we can afford to trim these back a bit and trim those back a bit, and probably trim those as well, but we'll feed them all into the box and then we'll start joining them up. So that's that larger one all connected up, and I think what we're going to do with the other one, because that looks like a standard kind of female connection there, so we don't need to worry about transferring that to the end of our other red wire. So we'll just put a standard female connector on there. and we're done. Good. Just got to hook it up this end. Yeah, I'm liking the way this is coming on. It looks like it's going 80 miles an hour standing still. No, really. Well, 60 anyway. So I'm going to finish off those last few stragglers, which go into here. Doesn't that look lovely? Don't worry, especially Mr. Sansom, there will be plenty more electrics to come. So if you haven't already, you need to subscribe down here and check out some of the other episodes on the Moto Guzzi, apart from all the other episodes. Yeah, Stratas, stuff like that. And of course, if you thought the video was any good, give it a thumbs up. And of course, encourage others to watch my lunacy.